Almost 100% of the time, your manifestation depends on you. Whatever you are manifesting and whatever you desire, it totally depends on you. Now, who are you? Are you this body, or do you have this body? Are you this mind, or do you have this mind? Likewise, the kind of person you are is determined by you. The way you act, the way you behave, and the way people perceive you totally depend on the self-concepts that you hold. People call it by different names. You can hear them referring to it as self-image or self-esteem. But people who watch videos about Neville Goddard know it as self-concept. In many of Neville Goddard's lectures, he emphasized the importance of creating better concepts about ourselves, as the self-concept is the pillar on which everything in our lives stands. Whatever you get or whatever you have in this physical reality is all because of the concepts you hold about yourself. I don't care if it is a person that you want or some material thing, you have to develop a better concept of yourself. Neville Goddard's student, Louise Burley, shared a story of a person named George that inspired me to make today's video. His story can change your perspective when it comes to manifesting anything in your life. This story is about his career, where, despite being an engineer, he failed to get a job. Now, instead of a job, it can be about getting a specific person for you, a car for another, or an online business or fame for an influencer. You will relate to it if you listen to it carefully. The story starts with a very inspiring quote, and this quote has captured my attention. It is from William Martson, where he says, "We are always playing some role in life. Why not select the role of a successful person and reinforce it?" Now this is where it hits me hard, and I am sure you too can relate to it. We are playing roles in our lives. We are playing different roles all the time. You play the roles of a child, a friend, a partner, an employee, an employer, a viewer, a lover, a cousin, and a teacher. Like this, many of us choose our roles based on the previous belief systems we had. This is what makes you appear different in the physical dimension from the people around you. Yet the basis of it remains consciousness. Everyone, before introducing their role, tells you that I am a teacher, an employee, and an artist. When they say I am, and then they add some particular role, they are becoming conscious of that role, and then they are playing that role in the physical world. The same happened with a person named George. George became an engineer, but in his college days, he used to wash dishes, mop floors, and take the garbage out of the college courtyard. He was doing this part-time job. He did this part-time work until he graduated. He got his degree in engineering, and he started searching for jobs. He applied for some jobs, but somehow the interviewers were not impressed with him. Every time he appeared for the interviewer seemed to be not at all interested in him. He was not able to figure out what was happening to him. He started feeling underconfident, and he faced many rejections. This pattern continued. He got rejected by every interviewer, and he was living at home because his part-time job of washing dishes was not enough for him to find a place elsewhere. He started staying in his room all the time. He started avoiding interactions with the outside world. His parents understood his behavior and tried to help him. But it didn't work, as George lost all his hopes and identified himself as a person who could not face any more rejections. But one day, while watching television, George came across a story of a person that was very similar to his own. In this story, the person resolved his problem by visiting a psychologist. At that time, George had no money, and he couldn't afford a psychologist. So, George was trying to find a solution, and he suddenly remembered that there was a psychology professor in his college. With lots of courage, George went to meet him. They went to the cafeteria and had a conversation while having a sandwich. George told his story, where he said that he has been unable to find a job for the past year and that he worked very hard in the kitchen, cleaning these dishes. He worked at this cafeteria as a part-time worker. He has a degree in engineering, yet no one wants to hire him. The psychology professor understood his problem. George's qualifications were good, but he had identified himself with the work of washing dishes and mopping the floor. During the interviews, he was presenting himself as an engineer, but his attitude and demeanor were those of a person who cleans dishes and mops floors. This left a doubtful impression on the interviewer, and he was lacking in self-esteem. His self-image was that of a cleaner, and he was trying to get a job as an engineer. He didn't feel worthy or confident. The professor explained all of this to him and advised him to attend a class on self-esteem. George thought to give it a try and went to class. He started applying the knowledge he was taught about silent identification. He started identifying himself as a useful person with an honorable role. He did this for a while. As a result, he started feeling different. He started seeing himself differently. The way he walked, the way he talked, and the way he expressed himself started to change. Now he started identifying himself as a highly valued engineer who has a very reputable job that he enjoys. He started rehearsing his role and started thinking of himself as a great asset for his company. George's parents were able to identify this change, and they noticed him as a new person. The people around George started treating him with respect. Then an opportunity arose, and he gave an interview, and he got employed. He became a happy, fulfilled team leader for this company, and he got the job as an engineer in a particular company that he liked and desired. His life changed completely, and he got what he wanted, even after getting rejected for the whole year. This is how he made it possible. While reading this story, I personally felt amazing as people around them changed their lives by just changing the concepts they held about themselves. People manifest their desired outcome just by changing the way they perceive it. But it is not easy. It requires practice. It requires persistence. It requires a change in attitude, and it requires a change in the concepts we hold about ourselves. I ask you a question. If we can't look at ourselves differently, then how can people notice it? How can they act differently toward us? I know you understand my point here. Almost 95% of our behavior, feelings, and responses are habitual. So, self-concept is like laying the foundation. That is why Neville tells you, change your conception of yourself, and you will automatically change the world in which you live. Do not try to change people. They are only messengers telling you who you are. Revalue yourself, and they will confirm the change. I don't care about what you are manifesting, whether it is a person, money, job, or whatever. In every case, you have to change your concepts about yourself. You have to change your self-image. Only by doing this can you change the way the world perceives you. You get better things in life simply by changing your attitude towards yourself. Don't run after physical objects or people. They will come to you at lightning speed only when you change the way you perceive yourself. Imagination is the tool to change your identity, to change your self-concept, and to change your attitude. You can imagine yourself as a successful person. No one is stopping you, and no one can see you imagining. You can close your eyes and experience all the wonderful things in your life. Imagination manifests your reality. The things you imagine become a part of your life. You can have anything that you want, but you have to become the person internally who gets the thing you desire. People in the law of attraction community call it raising their vibrations. You can use any name. People talk about the same thing in different ways and in different languages. So, stop arguing about who is right and who is wrong. Try it out yourself. Never accept or reject any idea. Just try and figure it out yourself. The life was given to you to experience it individually. You are free to choose what role you have to play. It all starts and ends with you. The world is yourself pushed out. Ask yourself what you want and then give it to yourself. Do not question how it will come about. Just go your way knowing that the evidence of what you have done must appear, and it will. I am wealthy, poor, healthy, sick, free, confined were first of all impressions or conditions felt before they became visible expressions. Your world is your consciousness objectified. Waste no time trying to change the outside. Change the within or the impression, and the without or expression will take care of itself. Change the way you perceive yourself. Change the concepts you hold about yourself. If you want help changing your self-concepts, then I have made a video that is an affirmation tape. It will take your self-concepts to the next level. Just click on the first video that appears at the end of the screen.